Hey, it's been a really long time since I've done a cost per use video and I just wanted to bring it back. I have a lot from Charlotte Tilbury in particular, so I thought it would be interesting and helpful to do one video where I showcase all of the products that I've tracked over the years. I have 13 different Charlotte Tilbury products that I'm able to calculate the cost per use for and give you the number of uses. I know not everyone really cares about this kind of stuff. I think it's just interesting and kind of fun and does help give a more unique perspective on how long it takes to finish makeup. If you'd like to see more information like this, I do have a cost per use playlist, but in my last couple of empties videos, I have made a bigger effort to give the number of uses to finish each of those two. But today we're just focusing on Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm gonna go in the order that I would normally apply my makeup. I don't have a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, but it's pretty close. Let's get some quick disclaimers out of the way. First of all, my uses are not going to be the same for you. It's not a universal number. It's just me going through and wearing the things I like to wear, tracking the uses as I go, and using that to make some calculations at the end. I'm just using the amount that I would naturally use, and that's going to be a little different for everybody. And yeah, it's just really not that serious. It's just a fun way to play around with some numbers, quantify things where I can, and maybe in the process help you make a more informed decision on whether or not something that I talk about is going to be valuable for you. So let's start with the Magic Cream. I did receive a 1 ounce of their Magic Cream. I think it was in like a mystery box or some sort of gift with purchase, I don't remember. And I was excited to try it because I always hear really good things. It's a very hyped up skincare product. And I did very much enjoy using it. It was a luxurious cream. I was skeptical at first. The first time I used it, my first impressions, I was like, this is just okay. But after a while, I did really grow to enjoy it. It took me 69 uses to go through that little 1 ounce jar. And given the price that a 1 ounce jar is, it comes out to about 94 cents per use. And so you are going through approximately $1 of product every time you reach for it if you use the same amount as I do. And for me, I use face cream morning and night. So it's actually going through $2 worth of face cream, almost $2 every single day that I do my skincare, which is pretty much every day. So that is steep. That is much higher than I was anticipating. And it just gives me another reason to not think that that moisturizer is worth it. You can get it in bulk. I think you can get a much bigger size. And so if it is a cream you really like, I would recommend doing that because that is gonna likely give you the lowest cost per use. So after I do my face cream, my skincare routine, I usually go in with a primer, and I tracked this glow primer. This is the Brightening Youth Glow Brightening Color Correcting Glow Primer. And I was looking this up to prepare for this video, and I don't see it anymore. I don't think they make this anymore. But I have mentioned in the past that the Wonder Glow is very, very similar. This one was a white translucent color, and this one is much more golden and has a little bit of a sparkle to it. I don't think it's that noticeable. I'm wearing it today and I don't really see anything. They are the same size, same texture. I imagine they'll have the same number of uses. And so this took 138 uses to finish, which came out to about 40 cents per use. So if you are doing a full face of Charlotte Tilbury, just the face cream and the primer portions of your routine are going to cost about $1.34. I don't have any concealers, I don't have any foundations that I've tracked from this brand, so the next step would be the contour wand, for me at least. And I ended up really loving this. I grew to love it a lot. And this one took about 178 uses to finish, which I think is pretty good. That makes it come out to about 24 cents per use. And out of all the contour cream, liquid contour products I've tried, which hasn't been that many, but out of the ones that I've tried, this one has definitely been my favorite. So this one is one that I would recommend. And 24 cents does seem a bit steep, but maybe I can just try to get this on sale. Like it doesn't keep me from wanting to buy it again at some point in the future. I would just try to find it at a discount, that's all. For the pressed powder, this one is gonna look super different for everybody because for some of the uses, I did use that pressed powder to set my T-zone. I think on a few occasions I used it to set all of my foundation, and then for most of the uses I just used it to set my under eye concealer. Some people use so little of it, they use barely any, and then some people use a ton. I feel like I use more than the average person. I get really oily and greasy, and I like to have a more satin mattified look. I like to be able to set my makeup really well, so I still got 205 uses out of it, even though I do tend to use more than what I think the average person probably uses. And that makes it come out to about 22 cents per use. Not as bad. I did think it was going to be more expensive. I was really surprised, pleasantly surprised to see that I got over 200 uses out of that powder, because it is pretty expensive. The next product is the highlighter from the Filmstar Bronze and Glow Duo. Unfortunately, I don't have the number of uses for the bronzer side. I think I repressed it at one point, and then I may have mixed it in with another bronzer at another point to make like an even better shade match for me. I don't have numbers for that side, but I do for the highlighter side. And this one took 303 uses to go through. I'm just really glad to see that, because this was for a long time the most expensive thing in my collection. So to know that I got over 300 uses on just one of the sides alone is fantastic. If you split the cost in half and say that each of these cost $34 because the entire thing cost $68, I would say that each highlighter use was about 11 cents per use. So yeah, 11 cents per use on just the highlighter side, and that is the lowest cost per use of any of the products I'm going to talk about today. Next up is the setting spray. I really liked it. I am not normally like a dewier setting spray fan, and this one does give you a glow, but I don't think it makes you greasy. I think it still has ingredients in here that keep your makeup lasting. I don't know if it's because I wasn't using it as a mattifying spray or what. I would just use a couple sprays on my face, and so this took a long time to go through. It took 125 uses to finish, and this is 3.3 fluid ounces, which is pretty average for setting sprays. And so that came out to 30 cents per use. Still pretty steep. I have definitely tried setting sprays that had lower cost per use in the past, but for such a nice experience, for being one of the only setting sprays out there that I feel like doesn't break down my makeup faster because it's a dewy spray. And this isn't necessarily something I would use every day. It is more of a special occasion spray. So even if it did have a higher cost per use, it isn't one that I'm gonna go through super fast. Let's talk about mascaras really quick. There are 3 mascaras in the Charlotte Tilbury line. The Legendary Lashes, the Pillow Talk Push-Up Lashes, and the Full Fat Lashes. The Legendary Lashes is $32 and the other 2 mascaras are $29. And I wanted to just share the numbers of if you used one for 3 months or used it for 6 months. Those are kind of the average amount of months that people typically use mascaras. Of course, some people like to use them all the way up until they're dried out. For me personally, I usually give each mascara about 3 or 4 months. So if you were to purchase one of the $29 mascaras and only use it for 3 months, each use would come out to about 32 cents per use. That's assuming you're using it every day. And if you were to use each of them for 6 months, that would be about 16 cents per use. If you were to get the Legendary Lashes, which is $32, and you used it for 3 months, your cost per use would go up to 36 cents per use. And if you used it for 6 months, then it would go down to 18 cents per use. And now for my favorite part, lip products. I have 5 Charlotte Tilbury lip products to share cost per use data with you. I have so many favorite lip products from Charlotte Tilbury, so I'm glad to have so many examples to share as a result. Let's start with the lowest cost per use all the way up to the highest cost per use. For reference, I do take out the stopper of lip glosses, and for lipsticks and other like tube lip products, I do dig out everything. So I'm getting as much as I can out of each of these. If you aren't that type of person, if it's more your style to just use something until you can't apply it easily anymore and then it's done, your cost per use is going to be a little bit higher. So first up, the lowest cost per use is the Lip Luster. This one took 189 uses to finish, which keeps it at about 12 cents per use. Next up, one of my favorite lip gloss formulas of all time, the Lip Bath. This one takes about 263 uses to finish, which gives it about 13 cents per use. Charlotte Tilbury has a KISSING formula and a Matte Revolution formula. One is more satin, one is more matte, and I do have numbers for each and they are slightly different. I had Pillow Talk in the Matte Revolution formula, and this one took 252 uses to finish, which made the cost per use about 13.5 cents per use. And then I had Bitch Perfect, which was part of their satin kissing formula, and that one took about 200 uses to finish, and that makes it about 17 cents per use. And last, unfortunately, the highest, most expensive lip product from the Charlotte Tilbury line that I found is their Hyaluronic Happy Kiss. I had the shade Romance Kiss. I adored this. Every time I wore it, I just so enjoyed it. And this took 142 uses to finish, which made it about 25 cents per use. I still think it's a fantastic formula. It just makes me want to keep an eye out for like duos and trios of these. They usually come at a discounted rate when you buy them in packs like that. So it does hurt a little bit to see that it costs $0.25 per use. That just seems kind of steep to me personally, but it just makes me want to try and get these at a discount because I would love to have one of these again. So that was everything I had to talk about today. Nothing too serious, just like an interesting way to look at how I use and enjoy the makeup that I have. I am a big fan of a lot of Charlotte Tilbury products, but I have seen now through the numbers that the cost per use is pretty high. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope it was informative and kind of fun. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!